Hi, everyone. Today I have the pleasure of interviewing Jennifer Harris. Jennifer was the former senior football manager for the Los Angeles Dodgers. She worked for the Dodgers for 10 plus years. Right now, she is the vice president of payroll for East West Bank. Jennifer and I got to know each other a few years back. We used to be in the same running club together, and when we were running all these miles, we tended to talk a lot, and the chatted about was our background. And to my surprise, I found out both of us have an accounting background. And so that was how I got to know her. So Jennifer, thank you so much for taking time today from your busy schedule to come speak to me. When I wanted to create these videos, you were one of the first people I thought about because, you shared some interesting stories with me about working for the Dodgers. So hopefully you can, bring that bring those experiences to my students today. So thanks again for coming on board.
Thank you for having me. This is going to be fun.
All right. So I have some questions for you, if you don't mind me asking. So the first question I had was, how did you get involved with working for the Dodgers organization? I'm pretty sure lots of my students would someday love to work for the Dodgers or some other major sports franchise. And so how would you be able to get on board with the Dodgers? And if someone wanted to follow in your footsteps and work for the Dodgers as well, how would they go about doing that?
So I, at the time, I was working for a company that you all may have heard of called Naked Juice. I was an accounting manager there, and I got a call from a friend of mine that I'd worked with in the past as a recruiter. And she said, hey, I know maybe you're not looking, but I have this great job that you would be perfect for. It's in the sports industry, so I don't know if you'd be interested. It may not, you may have to take a pay cut, but, do you want to check it out? And I said, sure, why not? And right before I went into interview, she told me it was for the Los Angeles Dodgers and as accounting manager. And I have been a Dodger fan since I was a little girl. So I was ecstatic, and I told myself, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get this job because this is my dream job. So, advice I would give to students is don't be afraid to get out there and go on the websites, check to see if there's positions open, and send your resume in or cold call. That one chance could be your lucky break. You could get an interview and maybe a job.
Great. So the next question I wanted to ask you was, as I mentioned earlier, you were with the Dodgers organization for 10 plus years, and you achieved the position of senior payroll manager. So I wanted to ask, what were some of your main duties in that position, and what is a typical day like for you, if there's even a typical day?
Working in payroll for a sports organization there's really not a typical day. You're going to check your emails, return voicemails, but at the Dodgers, we had 3,000 total employees that we paid, which included event staff. So it was a pretty crazy time, and we processed payroll every week for the event staff, and then every 2 weeks for the executives, coaches, players, trainers. So it was always, something going on, something crazy, but good crazy. One of the big differences between sports payroll and a regular payroll is that we would tax the players and trainers and coaches in the multiple states that they were playing in. So there was a lot of manual work on spreadsheets that we had to import. And on top of that, payroll reconciliations, managing the deductions for the players, 401k, a lot of your typical things that you normally do in a normal company, but to a different extent, a different level.
Now I'm going to ask you a question I know a lot of students really want to know, and that's basically what are some of the perks of working for the Dodgers?
Oh, there's some great perks, and that's probably what's most attractive to everyone, because I didn't mention this to you before, Ming, but sometimes they don't pay like, they're not going to pay the top of the market because they figure, hey, you're going to work for the sports team and there's going to be perks. So main perk, tickets to games, discounts on merchandise, discounts on food. Dodger Stadium holds events such as concerts, All-Star Game next year, as well as they do fun runs there too, all kinds of different things. The most exciting, I think, perk I ever experienced was in 2017, right before I left, the Dodgers went to the World Series and went to Houston. And I was able to go. I took my brother with me. So I went to every single World Series game. I went to 7 games. And then as a result of that, even though they didn't win the World Series, they won the National League Championship. So I was able to, I received this ring, which is a National League Championship ring. I'll get in a little closer. And it's what the players have, what the coaches have. And this was a gift to me from the Dodger organization. I had to pay taxes on it, but it was
well, that's very nice.
Yeah, not a lot of people have. So those are, the main perks. I think they're pretty good.
Yeah, they are. I mean, that gives people, that gives my students even greater incentive, right, to really work hard someday be in that position. And I want to thank you. I know when you were working with the Dodgers, one time you gave me 2 tickets that I was able to take my son to watch the game, and those seats were very, very, very nice. So thank you so much.
Well, and as you, depending, on the level, your position, as well as your years of service, your tickets get better. So as I've been there longer, the tickets got better.
Okay, that's nice to know. So now you're the VP of Payroll for East West Bank, which is also a wonderful position to be in. So I'm going to ask you again, for as now in your new position, what are some of your main duties, and what is a typical day like for you?
Now in this role, I'm doing a lot more high level work, managing the process. I have 3 payroll specialists that work for me, and we have the same amount of employees, about 3,000 employees, but it's different. They're doing the most of the work. I'm doing the review, approving payroll, as well as managing the restricted stock program, the employee stock purchase program, 401k administration, and various other things that I need to do. And one thing that is different than the Dodgers, the payroll position was in the finance department. And here at East West Bank, I'm under the HR umbrella. So it's a little bit different, but I like it because I'm getting some different types of, more HR skills under my belt, which will make me, marketable in the future if I need to or want to move on.
Great. What were some of the challenges you faced when you were in college, and how were you able to overcome them? Maybe just provide me with one challenge that you faced.
I think for me, managing my time, I was living at home, commuting, working. I worked in accounting for a city, as well as I was involved with the sorority. So I had to figure out how to manage all of that and still, go to school and get good grades and graduate so I could become, get out into the real world and get a good job. So I think, really time management. And if you can get that under your belt now, that'll help you immensely in the future.
Yeah, that's really important. A lot of my students, they work to pay off their own, pay their way through college. Mm-hmm. So the fact that they know someone like yourself, you had to do the same thing. So the fact that you did it, and while joining a sorority, that means they can do it themselves too. So thank you for sharing that. Mm-hmm. One last question, and that is, whether it's working for the Dodgers or working for East West Bank, I mean, both of those are definitely very prestigious organizations. So Is there any advice, or just give maybe one piece of advice for students about how to be successful in the corporate world?
Great question, Ming. And this comes up so often in my current role is being a team player. Um, you know, if you don't have an effective team, you're not going to succeed. And, additionally, with working in a bank, there are a lot of rules and regulations that you have to follow, and everybody needs to do their part. So, being a part of that team and, maybe doing something out of your comfort zone that you normally don't do, and volunteer to help. Because here's one thing, you get some great experience. And then you can say, hey, I've done that before. It wasn't my main job, but I've done it, so I could tackle that again.
Got it. Well, hey, thank you so much. I know you're a really busy person. We had the difficult time.
I know, sorry.
No, but thank you so much for finally making this happen. I know my students really appreciate everything that you shared with me today. And yeah, thanks again. And I look forward to catching up with you sometime in the near future.
Yeah, me too. Thanks so much, Ming.
Okay. Have a good night.
You too.